A one and a two and a chick-a-boom a chick.
The website they designed and built for our company was such a great investment. It's only been up a few months and has way more than paid for itself. Quote unquote. That's not a pitch. It's a real review from a contractor working with Contractor Growth Network. If you're a remodeler still relying on referrals or outdated marketing tactics, you're leaving money on the table. CGN helps design-focused contractors build a premium brand backed by sharp messaging, strategy-first websites, SEO, and digital advertising that actually works. When your brand looks as good as your work, the right clients start coming to you. Head to contractorgrowthnetwork.com today if you're ready to generate referral quality leads online. That's contractorgrowthnetwork.com, where contractors go to grow.
Folks, we are recording a podcast for the lovely Remodelers on the Rise. I don't know what episode this is. Mason, you were saying earlier that you have listened to my podcast a little bit. How many episodes have you listened to? We talking less than 10? We talking more than 100? What?
We're probably between 50 and 100. I've gone back to the archives to listen to some. So,
woo, excellent, excellent. So a lot of times we do podcasts where sometimes it's just me talking. Other times where I have guests. And then what we've done also smattered in is almost kind of like a live coaching call. So Andy and Mason, they're here with Welcome Home Remodeling. They're over in beautiful West Michigan. And Mason's been following the podcast for a while and then joined Remodelers community. I'm just getting to know Andy in the minutes before we click the old record button. And here we are to kind of talk about your business, talk about what's exciting about it, challenges you're having, and perhaps a little bit of focus on the marketing side and just have some dialogue and some coaching. And hopefully by offering some coaching and help to you guys, other people that are listening to will probably go, well, I need to be doing that too, or that's something I need to consider. So if you guys could just do a quick little introduction of who you are, and then we'll pop into a first topic here. Tell us.
my name is Mason. I've been working with my dad for 7 years, however long the company's been around. At first, it started out, I was in high school, just working in the summers. And then was in college during the start of COVID. Kind of realized college isn't for me. You don't need a degree to work with your hands. So I've been full-time now for going on 3 years. Yeah, we do, a little bit of everything. Decks, additions, basements, bathrooms, kitchens. Yeah, we hired our first employee about a year and a half ago. Things been going well there.
Exciting.
Yeah, that's just kind of a little overview of what we do.
Yeah, perfect. Andy, what would you add to that?
Introduce yourself a little.
Yep, I'm Andy. So I worked 23 years in the accounting industry and then finally decided I had enough sitting at a desk and wanted to do what I really wanted to do. And I started Welcome Home Remodeling. And first several years, other than summers with Mason, it was just kind of me as a one-man show. So fairly limited in terms of the volume that I could do. And then Mason started kind of coming on first when he started college part-time, and then after a couple of years of getting his associate's degree, decided that he had had enough of that and came on full-time 2022, was it?
Yeah.
And that's when we really started to kind of blow up our volume. And then, like Mason said, hired a guy in 23, tail end of 23, and that's just enabled us to continue to grow. And heck, I'd probably hire a few more if I could find them. But we're trying to see through that and figure that out. How we want to do that, and that's some of the questions we kind of have for you too today. But yeah, we've pretty much just grown organically through word of mouth and a few different business relationships that we've had, and want to continue to kind of seek ways to do that smart, keep our margins strong, or even better. I don't want to buy growth for the sake of growth, but it's been good and
excellent,
kind of eye-opening. You start adding a few employees, you can make a lot more money.
There's definitely potential with that. Good. So why don't we start? You just mentioned like the hiring potential. Let's keep that in the on deck circle. Since it's almost baseball season, we'll use some baseball reference. But a lot of things you guys had submitted was related to a little bit more on the marketing side. Strategies to begin marketing to generate more than just word of mouth leads. Perhaps targeting larger scope jobs, full basement finishes, master baths, additions, and that side of things. So let's give me a little more context for that of what you guys have been doing marketing wise or thinking about doing marketing wise.
Almost zero marketing wise. You tried for a little while when Facebook allowed it. He ran some ads via Facebook before they through Marketplace before they put a kibosh on that because they wanted you to pay for their marketing.
Yep.
But honestly, that really it led to a lot of work for me looking at jobs and quoting jobs, but literally almost no actual work
Gotcha.
going that route.
Gotcha.
A lot of price tag.
Yeah, it felt like they were just looking for a third or fourth number, and they'd already kind of had their guy picked.
Got the
Other than
website
that,
up.
we did just in the last couple of months got a website up.
Okay.
That's new. We rebranded. Mason didn't really like my original logo, so we had we had our tool trailer get trashed in an accident, so it was kind of a good time to go, well, if we got to get new logo
Lettering, let's maybe update this whole thing. So,
yeah.
So a couple things already. One is, all right, you have been in business for a good number of years, and we are now deciding we are going to be a professional business from a marketing standpoint, from a branding standpoint, from the logo to the website. If anybody's listening to this that is in a similar boat of going, I'm mostly word of mouth. Even people that are referring us, if I'm referred by one of your clients, one of the first things I'm doing is typing in "Welcome Home Remodeling, Hudsonville," and looking and going to your website, seeing what you guys are about, probably looking at Google reviews, maybe clicking on your Facebook page. So it's a good reminder that even if we are word of mouth, our website is still incredibly important. It is the central hub of all of your marketing efforts. So keep that in mind. The other thing is when you talked about before, they started making us pay for this or that, Facebook Marketplace type leads and Facebook Marketplace type groups is probably going to be the place that the bottom 50% of potential clients reside. Would you guys agree with that?
Mhm.
And that was your experience too.
That was definitely an experience.
Boy,
Yeah.
it seems like we got a lot of price shoppers. It seems like everybody just wants four numbers. It seems like everybody's trying to get the low price provider. Yeah. Welcome to the bottom.
That's not us.
Yeah. Welcome to the bottom 50%. Like if I'm fishing, I don't use a fishing analogy very often, so I'm walking on thin ice, which might be a nice fishing reference too. But if I'm fishing in this pond and this pond is crappy and it only has crappy fish in it, shocking. I caught some fish and they're crappy. Not crappie. I think crappie are okay to eat, but they're just crappy. We need to be fishing in a totally different pond, a totally different lake. So make sure that you don't equate. See, Facebook. See, we try to do some online stuff. You were doing it in more of a cesspool area versus an ideal area. So you learned some things through that, though. That's good. And absolutely, we need to be careful to protect our time. Even what you mentioned there, if I may slide into a little bit of sales process, if I'm looking at work, I heard you say looking at work, we need to make sure that we're protecting our time and have a really strong initial conversation with new prospects, with new leads. Perhaps a little bit more of a robust contact us form that allows them to upload some photos, allows them to give us some additional details there, and making sure we have a really solid initial conversation, not pulling out a blank sheet of paper and asking questions, but having a project discovery sheet, having a strong process there. Then we might go out and see their home. Then we might, as a next step, just ask them to email us some photos. Then we might just give them a ballpark range on that project. But that's going to save a whole lot of time. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah. And I will mention to you, because I kind of forgot this, if maybe three years ago, maybe it was, I did try like an Angie's List type thing. And again, did not feel that that was a good lead generator whatsoever.
Why it wasn't? You know why it wasn't a good lead generator?
We missed your question.
No. You know why it wasn't a good lead generator?
Well, it was a home advisor, and it just felt like they weren't legit leads. Like
Yeah.
they were making money, but they felt fake almost,
Yeah.
literally.
Yes. It's crap. Uh-oh,
Yeah.
Kyle, be careful. This is going out on the interwebs. You know, you're doing a podcast out here. This is going to go near and far. What if Home Advisor Angie's List wants to advertise in your podcast? No, thank you. I don't believe in it. I don't think they're generating good stuff. I don't think the leads are good. I think people are filling it out and it's going to a lot of people, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's another pond that you were fishing in that you need to be careful not to equate marketing with the results that you've gotten so far. It's very important. Marketing is amazing. Marketing is very important for you guys. Marketing is a hat that you need to embrace and enjoy and learn a lot from. And so far, marketing has been crappy for you because it hasn't worked. And I would say, again, you're fishing in a difficult pond there. Okay. So you need to look at with your website, you need to look at search engine optimization. You need to figure out how do we get our website to rank on the actual keywords that we want people to look into. There's several options that you could look at for something like that. We need to make sure we have stellar Google reviews, and we go back to previous clients. We ask them a second time to leave them. We have great trade partners. You need to set a goal between now and the next 90 days. How many rock solid Google leads or Google reviews are you going to secure? That's another major thing that I would be doing if I were in your shoes. Okay.
So with that, is that then when a customer, when kind of a job ramps up, that you ask them to go out and give you a Google review?
Yes. And the sooner you do it, when they are saying, I'm happy, thank you so much, the job is done, we're excited, you need to be asking them right then and there.
Sooner the better.
Yes. As time goes on, the likelihood that they will take the time to do it goes down. I was at a car wash. Hey, people, if you're looking for a gift idea for the person who has it all, might I suggest a membership to a car wash? My in-laws surprised me with that. And I was at the El Car Wash in Brighton, Michigan the other day. This guy came up to me. It was, you're Michiganders. Your floor mats, I have plastic floor mats in my car. Your floor mats are all nasty right now, aren't they? And when I was there on Saturday, I said, you know what? I've got a little extra time. The honey-do list can wait. I'm out by myself. I'm sure the kids and my wife are fine at home. I'm going to take my time here. And I got those plastic car mats out. And this guy came like a lightning bolt from the main wash area and said, can I take those and wash those for you? I said, well, if that's not wonderful service, I don't know what is. And he took and whisked them away. And then he came right back and they were shiny and clean and wonderful. Let me pause there, pause story. There's so much more we can be doing, remodelers, to enhance our client experience. There's so much more we should be training our trade partners, our team members to enhance the experience. We need to be focused on giving a remarkable client experience to our wonderful clients. And that, back to the story. He had this little QR code. I've got a QR code here somewhere. He had this little QR code. He goes, thank you so much. Would you be so kind as to leave me a Google review? And so I've been happy with them. I said, absolutely. Now I got stuck because it asked me to log into my Google my Google account, and I recently changed the password to something funky and long, so I didn't have it there. But A for effort. I was at peak I love you mode with this place, and he asked me for a Google review. So yes, ask for them right then and there. But also, you can go back to previous clients. You can go back to trade partners. Go to your plumber who you've used for 5 years and say, I just left you a wonderful Google review, John. Could you do the same for me? And you heard me loud and clear there, right? I did it for him first. The rule of reciprocity, the more I give to somebody, the more they feel indebted to give back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And he will probably more than likely give that. So you're hearing website, search engine optimization, make sure website's really strong. Google reviews, make sure those are really strong. all of your previous client, this is just marketing tips here, all of your previous clients, you should have a full list of your previous clients, and we should be staying in touch with them regularly. We should be making sure they follow us on social media. We should be sending them an email once a month to let them know what we're up to and to remind them and stay top of mind with them. Your previous client list is a very, very valuable marketing asset. Okay. What have you heard so far that's resonating?
Well, we have a big email list because we've had so many clients, and I would say it's such an easy and free opportunity just to reach out once a month and just say, hey, this is where we're at now, especially with the rebranding of our logo,
Yeah,
and we
that's
have a
great.
website now. To say, hey, we loved working for you in the past. We'd love for you to check out our website. It might inspire you to hire us for another project.
Yeah. Especially with the rebrand. The other thing I would do is for your actual clients, let's say there's 140 of them, because your email list, a lot of those people on there, they're fish that weren't a good fit. Still, it's
Yeah.
a very low cost way of staying in touch. But for the 140 actual clients you have, I would suggest actually mailing them something. Hey, it's springtime 2025. We wanted to update you a few things. Number one, have we thanked you recently for your previous business? We can't thank you enough. We can't thank you enough for your business, for your referrals. The best way people find out about us is through our wonderful clients. We can't thank you enough. Number two, we're continuing to professionalize our business and our brand. You can see our new logo here, and here's a link to our website. If you have any projects you're thinking about, please reach out and get that. Let's mail that out to all of your previous clients. That would be a strong valuable thing for you to do. Andy, you like that one?
Yeah, you're still blinking in and out, which is annoying us, but it's not your fault. But we're keeping up.
Yes, folks, we're powering through this podcast. We usually do it on Riverside, and then we change connections. Now we're on Zoom, but Andy and Mason are doing a great job because they're like, all right, you came in and out, but we didn't even mention it to the listeners. So you can listen to the recording and catch the in-between parts. But I'm glad you liked that idea. The other thing to consider, so those were marketing tactics. The other thing that I would be thinking about for you guys is you're casting a very wide net on the types of projects you're looking at. Mason, you kind of mentioned it. What were some of the things you mentioned? We do.
So, we do it all. We did decks, additions, basements, bathrooms, kitchens. We even do, a little bit of siding here and there on a small project. So windows. We just replaced several windows on the front of a house last week.
Yeah, which when you're getting things up and going is normal, and we're a remodeling company, that's normal. But there's also some wisdom, not necessarily, some people really specialize. We only do fill in the blank. There's tremendous value in doing that. But there's also value in, you just listed out, a really wide array of different things we do. Even if we cut that back a little bit, it just makes our messaging, it makes our systems and processes on the production end a lot easier. So don't be afraid to narrow down a little bit more of what type of projects you take on. It helps kind of cut through the clutter. And I think what you'll find is, 20% of the types of jobs result in 80% of our revenue. Let's just focus more of our marketing and more of our focus on these types of projects. And then going over to the financial side, some of these projects are more profitable than others. So that's another thing. You've got a nice foundation in place. You've got some revenue coming in, and now you might consider strategically narrowing down the focus of the types of projects you're taking on. Does that resonate a bit?
It does. With that one in particular, like we definitely do not chase like replacing windows. As a repeat customer, we've done several different projects for them, and they not only trust us implicitly, I'm positive they don't call anybody else. They've also been a huge referral source for us. So yes, we'll replace your front windows for you. No problem.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a business decision you're making.
Yeah.
Right? Good. Another thing on the marketing side that often is overlooked, especially one of the thoughts you had was targeting larger scope jobs, full basement finishes, full additions. A lot of those projects are being started more on the designer and the architect side of the world. So this concept of strategic partners is what we call them. Anybody who shares the same ideal client as you do. And step one is make a list of any designers and architects and realtors and high-end landscapers and those types of folks. Make a list of the people you already know. And how do we get to know them better? How do we get to know what they provide? How do they then want to hear a little bit about what we do? But for a lot of the remodeling clients that I work with, strategic partners oftentimes is a way for them to start getting more consistent with larger projects. So that's a whole area of the marketing side that could be interesting for you guys.
So you're saying between the ins and outs, you're saying basically for some of those bigger jobs, a lot of times they're starting with designers or architects, and so we should start figuring out, do we know any of those? Do we have any relationships with any of those that we can start to try to leverage to kind of get on their list of when somebody comes to them with some designing, then we can be on the list of, hey, here's a guy you want to call.
And it starts by being on the list, and then as we provide our level of service and experience and make them look really good with their clients, that list becomes smaller to the point where they're
Right.
referring.
Right.
So yes, you nailed it exactly. And what I'm saying from a coaching standpoint is, especially targeting larger scope jobs, that pond, it's got some real nice fish in it, gentlemen. Ooh, I like this fishing analogy.
Yeah.
Kind of crappy pond over here, shallow and nasty stuff over here, minnows over here. Websites, solid website leads. When somebody types in kitchen remodeling, Hudsonville, Michigan, there's some good fish in that pond. Previous clients coming back to us that really valued us or referring us, there's some good fish in that pond. Strategic partners, and developing that, there's some big fish out there, and if we can get some relationships going with them, some good things can happen. And that advice is not like, hey guys, I'm over here, I just got some random advice for you. No, I've been coaching remodelers for 16 plus years. My daughter's almost 17, so we were pregnant with her when I quit my job and started my business. Like, this is what works. This is what actually works. It doesn't happen overnight. Marketing isn't like a boom, flipped on, but you guys are getting that mentality of going, we're going to be marketers. We're going to figure out how to really build a brand and recognition. So I like that all these ideas seem to be resonating. Go ahead, Mason.
Something I've noticed is if I just go on Google and just look up basement finishing in my area, not much comes up. I'm wondering if we wanted to attack that Google side of it, where when someone looks up a remodeler in my area and we want to come up, is that what SEO is, or is that buying Google ads?
It could be both. Like the first ones that you see up there say sponsored.
Yeah.
And how does Google make their billions? There's a huge chunk of their revenue that's coming through sponsored paid ads. So that is part of it, and that is an option. It's one of those things that you're not going to dabble with $200 a month. You're going to spend some good money and probably have somebody manage it that knows what they're doing. And then the listings underneath that is where more the organic listings or the SEO, the search engine optimization. So when I type in, basement remodeling and your city and state name, we need to have a page on your website that's optimized for basement remodeling, city, state. And there's a lot of strategy, there's a lot of work that goes into that, but you can imagine the value of being listed in the top couple there is tremendous, right? That's worth tens and tens of thousands of dollars to be listed there. So.
And I know right now even I have a link, I have to complete it. The folks that helped us build our website said, hey, also you need to get your Google business profile set up. Doesn't even look like you've set that up. And so they sent me a link to kind of walk me through how to do that.
Yeah.
Even
Look, you're at the more beginning stages on the marketing side. There's a lot of people listening to this. They're in the same boat. There's some remodelers that have some of this stuff in place that just need to go to the next level with it. And that's okay. Again, my big message as I'm getting to know you guys is you're marketers. You've got it. You're starting to enter into this. Do not get jaded about what happened on Facebook Marketplace. Do not get jaded about Angie's List. You fished in some dumb ponds and you learned and you paid your dumb tax of wasting some hard-earned money that you earned on marketing stuff that doesn't work. But you're already understanding, and you're starting to see there's a lot of other ways to market that are better ponds that will lead to better things. And it's interesting. I did try to Google and I found a welcome home remodeling, but then it said like it had somebody name in there of Ryan, and I'm like, I bet you this is a different welcome home remodeling from a different area. So if that should be priority 1A and 1B is getting that, whether they sent you a postcard or however they did it, get your Google business listing going. That's a huge factor in how people get ranked. You're going to start getting some reviews there. You're going to start putting your services list in there, the areas you serve in there, and that's valuable real estate. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, there is another one in Ohio. I found that out because our bank knew them and said, "You're not the Ohio one, are you?" I'm like, no.
No, we're the ones in the great state of Michigan.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
So those are several kind of the marketing side of things. You had mentioned many of our jobs are a little bit more of a makeover versus full remodels. Many of our current clients are a little bit more budget focused, and the scope of work tend to shrink. And that's a transition that you guys are going to kind of graduate out of. A lot of the clients and the work that got you to where you are not going to be the same that get you to kind of that next level. And you need to be confident that there's, as you kind of move up the food chain a little bit of the type of projects you're looking to attract and the type of clients you're looking to attract, that takes a little bit of time, but it starts with, yes, branding. Marketing is getting someone who has a need to know, like, and trust you. And by having a website, that's helped know, like, and trust. By having a more professional brand and look and logo, that helps build some know, like, and trust. All the elements that make up our brand are either supporting what we're trying to put out there, are kind of neutral, aren't really helping, or they're disrupting. Your lack of a website previously was disrupting your brand. Your logo, that Mason, you talking smack about your dad's original logo? Was it bad?
He kind of made it in our barn out of a piece of wood, took a picture of it, and then, you know,
Sounds
kind of went.
craftsman-y.
Well, it was. It definitely was.
Andy, I apologize that he's so heartless about your hard work that you put into that logo.
It was not hard.
I mean, most people would have used like Photoshop or like a design program. You evidently decided to craft it with your own hands.
This I did, yes. And that was fun when we went to get clothing and stickers and a trailer logoed and everything. They were like, I can't work with this, so they kind of had to
There you go.
make
Cool.
one.
Gentlemen, my apologies. We got to pause because there's a little commercial that's going to pop up in the podcast right about now.
What if your website didn't just sit there, but actually worked as hard as you do? At Contractor Growth Network, we build websites with purpose, sites that are designed to convert visitors into real, high-quality clients. One contractor put it best: it's only been up for a few months and has way more than paid for itself. That's the power of smart strategy, clean design, and marketing that's made specifically just for you. If you're ready to stop blending in and start owning your market, head to contractorgrowthnetwork.com to build the brand that builds your business. That's contractorgrowthnetwork.com.
And we are back. Andy, you had a question?
Yeah, what do you think about trade shows? Because we have a number of those that happen here. We have a spring home and garden show, home remodeling. I think they call it even a home remodeling show. We have like a women's expo, and one of the businesses that we partner with where we do a ton, all she does is paint kitchens, and we do a ton of her carpentry work. She goes to like every one of those shows. And I've gone to a couple with one of our kitchen partners a few years back. And it really didn't result in a whole lot of work. And obviously, it's a lot of time sitting there talking to a lot of people, handing out a lot of business cards or flyers or what have you. What is your thought on those? I'm just curious.
One would be you're bringing up a marketing tactic, is what it's called, that is potential. That's got potential. One thing that I kind of put through this is, yes, it's a lot of time, but it also costs money. So we need to, as you guys look at the marketing side of things and go, well, maybe I need to do some search engine optimization. Maybe I'm going to look into some paid Google ads. Maybe I'm going to do the following. I always like to evaluate things based on, well, how much marketing dollars do we have? Because if you said, look, I've been saving up my marketing dollars for the last 5 years. I got a pile over here. We can do SEO and we can do this and we can do that and we can create videos and we can create content. And I still got $6,000 for this home show. Then I might go, okay, let's maybe try that out. But you might go, well, if I did the home show, I can't do this. See what I'm getting at there? So be careful. Let's kind of figure out how much you have to invest in marketing, generally speaking, and then we start to decide where we're going to invest it. As far as home shows go, I would say number one, go and attend the ones that you just mentioned this year and get a feel for it. Ask the people that have been there for 5 years. Has it been trending down? Is it still working? What's going on here? Think about if we did a 10 by 10 booth, what would that look like? So I'm not super excited about it for you guys, but it's in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about it just based on my experience with it.
And most of my clients are doing home shows because they want to support their HBA. They want to support their NARI group. A few of them go, it's ROI positive. We see previous clients. We generate leads from it. We generate work. Some people say that. For a lot of people, it's a little bit more of I'm supporting the industry, my local market. So it's probably on the parking lot. Maybe an interesting idea, but not one that we're going to deal with right now. Yeah. You also mentioned in here when we were talking about the makeovers versus full remodels, could this be improved by tweaking our sales tactics? We need to be attracting better leads, and that's everything we've talked about so far. And part of it, yes, it is going to be, we need to elevate and improve our sales process, making sure that we are differentiating ourselves, making sure I did appreciate on your website, I didn't take a super close look at what it said, but I loved that you have a page that says the process, consultation, detailed quote, pre-construction meeting. Really focus on your process so homeowners understand that. I loved seeing that you've got a little bit of a pricing guide started where you're giving people a little bit of a range there. So the answer is absolutely continuing to improve your sales process is going to help you convert more leads. And I would argue that as you attract better quality leads, you need to it kind of goes along with each other. We need to up our professionalism of our sales process and how we approach that. So the answer to that is yes. It can be improved by tweaking and improving our sales approach.
You're just picking on me.
Hey, deal with it, buddy. We're gonna knock you apart on the sale, but it's true. Look, you've been selling for 8 years. Have you reached your full potential as a salesperson, Andy?
Yeah.
Heck no. Am I the best coach have I reached my peak for coaching? No. It's a great question, by the way, for anybody listening to this. If you have your team in the field kind of sitting in a meeting, say, all right, show of hands. Who here has reached their full potential? If you raise your hand to that, that's horrible, right? It's like, no, nobody reaches that. Now, if you're 92, you're hanging out in the assisted living, all right, maybe you go, I've peaked. But even then, we should be striving for something. But on the sales side, absolutely. Are you sending an email out between the initial phone call and the in-person meeting saying, so excited to see you next Tuesday at 2:00. Here's a link to this and that? Maybe, maybe not. Are you sending a really nice, warm, handwritten thank you card after your initial in-person meeting just to thank them for the opportunity? Can we turn around our initial proposal or initial ballpark range faster to people instead of letting it linger? I mean, we can go on and on. There's all kinds of things that pretty much every remodeler listening to this has that they can do to improve their sales process. So that's important as the sales process that was signing maybe the lower dollar client, we need to wow them and build up more value and differentiation with some of these new clients. And then what was the other topic you had mentioned out there related to hiring and timing of that? Tell me a little bit about what you were thinking there.
Well, just knowing what we've gotten of the last, year and a half of bringing on our non-family first employee and just seeing how that's increased our capacity and our ability to do more, it's like, okay, well, we're trying to figure out, do we get it to where both of the two guys I have right now kind of become my master carpenters, and then I bring in two more guys that are fresh out of high school that want to do this but don't have a ton of skill or experience, and kind of start to bring them up? and then get kind of trained under each of my guys that now know what they're doing really well, or do we try and find somebody with some, already some gray hairs that's been doing it for a while? And how do you find either, quite frankly? I mean, we've done some discussions with, teachers, shop teachers that we know
Yep.
locally,
Yep.
that are
So
teaching
let's
some of these
let's
kids.
pause on the first part of that.
Yeah.
Do we want to have 2 leads and master carpenters with some apprentices underneath them? The beautiful thing about our industry is there's a lot of different ways to do this. Some people approach it that way. Some people go, you know what? I need 2 master carpenters and 1 apprentice. So the number one is there's no right way to approach this. There's a lot of different options. A lot of it goes back for me to our ambition in our business and how much we want to grow and how it's going, the backlog of work that we have. Another aspect of it goes to, what do I like the idea of having a lot of in-house labor, or do I like the idea of having a little in-house labor and be a little bit more trade partner heavy? There's remodelers out there doing $4 million of remodeling work with 0 in-house labor.
Can you repeat that? Because we lost you for a second.
There's a lot. There's remodelers out there doing $4 million of remodeling work with 0 in-house labor.
Right.
There's remodelers out there doing $3 million with 10 in-house labor side of things. So a lot of different ways to slice it. So that will be, just continue to kind of think through what do you, give me some pros and cons as you think about it. Make your pros and cons list of having in-house team members and just kind of keep thinking through that. As far as how you find them, number one is not being defeated before we start. Well, Kyle, it's really, really hard to find good people. Actually, this company over here that has an amazing reputation, that creates content consistently about how wonderful it is to work for them, that is always highlighting their team members, that company has people reaching out to them all the time asking if they can join the team. That in and of itself is super interesting, meaning just like an ideal client on the marketing side is going to reach out to me because of what they're seeing and hearing about us, the same thing goes on the employee side. The more that we make it an attractive place to work, the less we need to worry about recruiting. They will come and find us because word gets around real quick in that Home Depot parking lot, in that trade supply house, etc. They take great care of us over there. So I'd worry more about how do I, like, thinking through the strategy of what pieces do we want to create here, and about creating a wonderful environment for the one team member that you have right now, and kind of building off of that.
Yeah, I think that kind of piggyback off what he was talking about with hiring is part of my desire to look for larger scope jobs and shrink kind of what jobs we're looking for is, like we talked about before we started recording, it can be really hard to train a guy to do 10 different jobs versus, if we stuck to bathrooms and basements, for
Yes.
example, for the sake of the video, that's a lot easier. It's interior framing, interior carpentry. It's a lot easier for him to master that quicker than if we're going from that in 1 week. Next week, hey, you're framing a deck and setting deck boards. Next week, hey, we're doing backsplash. You got to learn how to do tile.
Yeah.
I've thankfully been able to do all of it. But training a guy, it's very hard for him to become consistent in the quality of work that he's doing when he's not doing the same thing for more than usually 3 to
Half a
4
day.
days.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yep, absolutely. And it goes back to it's wise from a marketing standpoint to narrow the focus. And even when we were talking about that, I mentioned from a process and a training standpoint. So you're barking down the right road there of that's a good frame of mind. And yes, when we have bigger projects, it just gives our team members a little more time and just hours to dig into, a full kitchen remodel, a full bathroom versus some of these makeover things.
yeah.
It's training is a huge aspect of it's a challenge for a lot of folks. And if I'm trying to train them on 50 different disciplines, it just gets exponentially harder.
Yeah.
So that idea of narrowing the focus down, and continuing to find more trade partners, always be recruiting trade partners, people that do tile work. Well, Kyle, we do tile work in-house. Well, maybe on that project, you might expand your ability to produce more work and have somebody else do it. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And I did find a guy recently who is experienced, who no longer wants to spend all of his time out selling and quoting. He just
Yeah.
wants to work, that he wants to be a sub, you know, for us if we can use him, for carpentry, and he
Yeah.
even does
Lots of potential there.
tiles. So we have that potential.
Cool.
Now I just got to sell enough work to, get him rolling too.
Yep. That's right. Cool. What's one other question or topic that is coming to mind?
I would say just looking at, as you've been doing this for the past 16 years, when you're looking at companies kind of in our size and our desire to grow, what's a pretty common bottleneck you're seeing out there? It's like that maybe, us aren't seeing. That just might be one of these details. Like, hey, if we change this just a little bit, and it might even be the marketing part of it. But just what's a kind of a bottleneck you see that can slow the growth?
Yeah. Couple things. One is you guys are moving to, Andy, are you swinging the hammer much at all?
Not much at all.
Okay. Right. So you've made that shift there. And then, Mason, you're probably going to continue to kind of run point on the production side. So that usually is a big step. So the fact that, Andy, you're fully out of the field is a huge step forward. The answer is, how do we go from where we're at to where we're going? Primarily the marketing and sales side of things and the quality of the project. So the good news is everything we're talking about here is where you need a lot of that focus. And then the trade partners that have gotten you to where you're at right now might not be the trade partners. I call them trade partners versus subs. They're not sub anything. They are trade partners.
Yep.
Might not be the trades that get you up to that next level. So that's something to keep in mind. And then the need to continue to refine your processes, your checklists, your systems. Something we didn't talk about much here, but another huge growth area that I see for companies that are where you're at to where you're going is taking the design and project development part of the process way more seriously. We do not like allowances. We do not like vague scope of works. We do not like not detailed plans. We don't like to figure things out on the fly. We do not like to order materials last minute and then find out that the tile I wanted to go pick up this afternoon to do later this week is on back order. More and more and more work up front in design and project development leads to a lot smoother process during production. So I don't know where you guys are at with that, or if you're charging for design and project development, but that, Mason, is usually a big unlock to kind of growing into the next level.
And that is some of our growing pains right now. As we grew first full year with our third employee, we grew 34%. And, that was a challenge for me of keeping up with that increased volume of all the scheduling of the subs and the materials and getting everything. And I would get yelled at occasionally by this guy over here who's better looking than me about, hey, it would have been nice to have that on time,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That would have gone smoother if the drywaller would have known he needed to be there next week,
Right. So that's gonna be a biggie. A biggie is, and this concept of charging for design and project development is something I do a lot of teaching on. And at first it's like, how could we ever do that? How could we? There's some mental space to kind of graduate out of into that. But that's going to be a big factor of when I tell somebody, hey, here's your ballpark range and where we think this project is going to be at, based on what you're describing, and there's your ballpark range. There's the moment of truth, if you will. And then what we want to do is work towards having detailed design, detailed specifications, more of a, making all of our selections, finalizing everything before a hammer ever hits the job site. When we can start doing that. And hey, by the way, I charge $1,000 for that, or $1,500 for that, or $2,000 for that, or 2% of blah, blah, blah. Oh man, when you get that first check that somebody says, that makes sense to me, here's $1,000, that will go a long ways in getting things planned out well in advance.
Can you repeat that part again? Because we lost you.
No, but you are going to listen to the beautiful recording, because I don't know where I left off there. I pontificated for about 3 minutes. But everybody else that heard that loud and clear. Thank you for battling through, by the way, the technical challenges here. Give me a takeaway from our chat here for each of you.
So I think the takeaway for me, and was the main reason why I even reached out, was to learn a little bit more on the marketing side. And because the only experience we had was the free Angie's List or the Facebook leads.
Yeah.
And since he did all the quoting and still does, he realized I'm wasting so much time. I don't want to do marketing. He kind of equated marketing just means I'm quoting people for their fourth number, and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know quite enough to try and talk him into like, well, there may be other ways we can do this more strategically. And I think that's something I'm really interested in as we want to keep growing is how do we do it in a good way to where we're not wasting our time and money.
Right. And he's been copiously taking notes too, so I'm excited about that.
Well, I've got, I mean,
Andy, what
yeah,
were
I've
one of your
got
main takeaways?
big one is asking customers for the Google reviews. We can start building that up, which I think is great. I want to find out if I can get some sort of like QR code that I can give them, even to say, yeah, here, just put your phone on this and boom, take you right to it, take you no time at all.
Yep.
I love some of the ideas of emailing and texting past customers, talking about our new website logo, just that continual interaction with them, because repeat customers are honestly the best customers. Because you already know them, they know you, they trust
Like
you.
and trust. Yep.
I love that. And the third one, really a big one, is just maybe a different way of targeting some job types, because thus to this point, our targeting of our way of getting leads has been not only the word of mouth, but then our partnerships with our cabinet suppliers and our flooring suppliers and our kitchen painter, and kind of just getting a lot of referrals. A fireplace place, we get a lot of referrals through those businesses, but again, they're not necessarily the pond that we that maybe would be as attractive as a pond where if I started to get with some designers and architects, that might be that bigger, better pond attracting better leads in that regard. So yeah, we really got some talking to do about that.
Cool. Love it. And my big takeaway for you guys is you're marketers now. None of this. No, we're marketers, and that's what's going to allow us to, by really embracing that and trying things out and testing things out and investing some time and energy and being, the biggest word with marketing is consistent. Being consistent with getting things out there. So cool. It was good meeting you guys. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You bet.